What are some of the dumbest business decisions? Kodak telling the creator of digital photography to go f himself. Sad thing is they had the technology first in the 70s and put it off for so long because the cost would be too large for consumers, then they just totally mistimed everything and dug their own grave. Buy MySpace for $580 million and then scare away users with ads intended to generate profit. Users leave MySpace and join Facebook, sell MySpace for $38 million, ouch. I worked on the television show Fear Factor, pretty sure making two hot blonde girls drink donkey semen killed the show. It was cancelled after the controversy of that episode. Doctors, what's the stupidest patient you've ever had? I had to explain to a 17-year-old girl and her mother that she was not in fact allergic to alcohol, but she was just hungover. She complained that on nights when she drank too much vodka, usually on an empty stomach, that she would feel nauseous, flushed and sometimes vomit in the morning, but it didn't happen all the time, and there were no other typical symptoms of an allergic reaction. One screamed at me, puked and defecated on the floor, then tried to bite me. I'm a vet though. Patient thought taking a double dose of vitamin B6 was the same as B12. Lawyers, what's the craziest thing you read in a will? We had a client itemize his rock collection in his will, including directions that certain rocks be deposited in certain rivers across Canada. To my wife, I leave her lover and the knowledge that I was never the fool she thought me. To my son I leave the pleasure of working for a living. For 25 years, he thought the pleasure was all mine. Best diss ever. It was in my wills and trusts book in law school as an example of people talking smack in their wills. You're supposed to discourage them from doing that. A friend of mine was adopted at birth. When her mom died, the will gave half the estate to her two natural daughters. My friend got nothing. What the hell? A friend of mine was adopted at birth. When her mom died, the will gave half the estate to her two natural daughters. My friend got nothing. What the hell? I've seen two essays written by parents, not just essays where you could tell from the writing that it was written by an adult, but essays by mothers written in first person about their sons. Needless to say, neither got in, and one probably would have otherwise since he had the grades. My friend wrote one about how he invented penicillin. He got accepted. Once had someone write their essay about beans, and all the ways he loved to cook them. He went through each day of the week and talked about each day's bean dish. It was sort of creepy. He did have a pretty good bean dip recipe though. The applicant's name: Albert Einstein. A girl who applied to Duke was so nervous about her application that she had 87 letters of recommendation along with her application. She didn't get in. Parents, why you didn't let your child have a sleepover? He was a complete asshole with no respect for adults. Breaking point was when he put bleach in a spray bottle and chased our 5-year-old around spraying him. His mother apologized. Never again. The kid that wanted to come over has been over once before, and he shattered a window when he got mad, then ran to his house 3 blocks away. He was a little kleptomaniac. He came over exactly 3 times to hang out. Each time something would go missing. No more visits. Found out recently he was recently charged with embezzlement at the company he used to work for. Doctors, when did you think? How did you survive that? I was working in the emergency department when a toddler came in after falling out of a 3-story window completely unharmed. The sad thing was they were from a rough neighborhood and the mom hadn't noticed for about half an hour. Farmer was driving a tractor with one of those huge rolls of hay on the back. The hay was not secured correctly, so when he stopped it rolled forward over him and bent him in half. All he had was 2 compression fractures in his lumbar region. Humans are like an iPhone. Sometimes they can survive a 10-foot drop, and sometimes they break when they get tossed on the bed. Students, have you ever lost your temper with a teacher? My 2nd grade teacher was Sister Bridget. She didn't like me at all. One day I was feeling sick and I asked to use the restroom. She told me I was lying. As she tried to tell me why I was a liar, I vomited all over her shoes. A friend of mine wanted to go to a certain university that was out of state and somewhat tough to get into. The counselor told him not to waste his time as he would never get in. This pissed him off, so he went to the principal, who told him to trust the counselor as that was her job. He applied anyways, got accepted, and taped 2 copies to the counselor and principal's door. He couldn't afford to go anyways, but he was trying to prove a point. In 6th grade my teacher wanted to be liked by the class, so he bullied and embarrassed me along with the rest of the cool kids. What's your funniest example of petty revenge? My ex cheated with a married man. He now lives with her and he is terrible, but anyway I still have login for her television. I logged in, erased all her shows, then recorded only the show cheaters. Petty, but it makes me laugh. Kid stole my water bottle, I opened it up and left it inside his backpack. Speeding up a coworker's double-click speed and watch him squirm when his normal double-clicking speed isn't working. Teachers, what was the strangest encounter you've had with a parent? I had a parent get mad because I failed her kid's paper. Don't you know that can hurt their self-esteem? My response of maybe he should have done the work didn't help. She threatened to go to the school board, the mayor, and the superintendent in that order. At conferences this year, a parent came in irate about the fact that his daughter had to learn Obama math. I tried to keep a straight face until he was done. When I reminded him that I'm the history teacher, he never did go see the math teacher, and I never did figure out what Obama math is. My wife, a high school teacher, loves to talk about the time she had parent-teacher conferences and a 14-year-old boy sat in his father's lap throughout the entire conference. Incredibly awkward. What did someone say to cause you to dislike them right away? New guy at work. First coffee break he started complaining about his ex who had full custody of the kids for some unknowable reason, also how he'd like to slash her throat with a rusty knife. Nice to meet you too, don't think I'll be taking breaks with you. Asked me, do you mind if smoke, then proceeded to take out a meth pipe. There are different levels to being a psychic. I'm on the purple level so I can talk to the dead, said a new employee at my previous job. Nope. Meet your teacher day before my kid started kindergarten, and this other parent bragged that her kid was completely illiterate, couldn't stand being read to, and she hated reading too. Emergency personnel of Reddit, what's the dumbest situation you've been dispatched to? Report of a woman drowned in shallow water off the south shore of Long Island. It was a semi-deflated inflatable doll. I called because I found my elderly neighbor lying on the ground outside. She was slurring, dizzy, and unable to get up. I thought she had a stroke. They got there and were talking to her for a few minutes before telling me that she was just drunk. I worked at a vet clinic that received a report from the local overnight emergency vet for a dog the owners thought was having a seizure in the middle of the night. The dog was diagnosed with dreaming. Doctors, have you ever witnessed a childbirth that was obviously not the father's? I had a vasectomy. While chatting with the doctor, he told me about another patient. This guy had 3 kids and came in for the snip because he and his wife decided they were done having children. The doc opened up his sack and found nothing to snip. This guy was born without the ability to have any children and the poor doctor had to explain to him what happened. Imagine finding that out that way. Had a lesbian couple come in, one of them was pregnant, neither knew. Judging from all the screaming, this information was poorly received. Happened to a dude I knew. He got his girlfriend pregnant just as he was about to break up with her. She was trashy and he came from a rich family, but he did the right thing. Turns out that the kid wasn't his, so he kicked them both out.